The name of this presentation Is Your Curriculum Digital Enough? And for the past few years, the Nieman Lab has been gathering predictions from different people about what they think is the future of journalism. And I've done them for the past 3 years. My most recent one was this one called Your Curriculum is Obsolete. But I've also done one on why product management is the new journalism. And then last year on this idea of hybrid digital scholar educator that led to this grant. So this is really a great platform to express new ideas, to get some of your ideas out there, and really looking at all the predictions over the years really just shows some people with very interesting backgrounds making their assessments of the future. But this most recent one got me thinking because I had a student that, in more than just being a provocative title here, a student in my graduate digital issues class had done a post for the class, and it was titled, My BA is Obsolete. And he had done his undergraduate degree at another Texas university, and after coming to our program had really recognized that he had not been exposed to some of the things that he felt would be important for his future. Some of the things that we had been adding in our curriculum, and just some of the ideas and mindsets in terms of innovation, problem solving. And that particular post kind of haunted me for a while. And so I wanted to give it a little bit broader exposure and think a little bit more about what we could do to help just beyond our department and our school. It made me think that there probably were a lot of students out there feeling the same way that he felt, or people who just didn't know yet that they weren't getting exposed to the things they needed to be exposed to be able to be successful into their futures. So there are links to all these articles for you to be able to read, and we can have some further discussions about it when we get together. The idea of how media has changed has really been very, very drastic. When we look at how video used to mean things on television or things in the movie theater, and now we're looking at the way that video is being used in social media, it's being used on the web in very different story formats, using 360 video, and just various ways that visuals have become very important to our lives on a day-to-day basis. And the engagement aspect of social media is so fascinating, where people can submit their own visuals, they can participate in conversations like the way ProPublica does with many of its engagement activities. And now even with bots, being able to have a conversation with technology. The Purple Politics bot was one that was very popular during the election, and it really allowed the user to have a discussion with the bot about the changing political topics on a day-to-day basis. So programming and coding used to mean the programming that we did for a television station's lineup. And as professors and scholars, coding used to mean what we did with a content analysis. But now coding and programming are really basic skills that a communicator needs to have to understand how to spread their message on the platforms that are the ways we communicate and share now. So whether it's using some sort of a program to do some data scraping or to know HTML and CSS so you can work in a content management system, these are very important skills that every communication major, really every person in every type of a discipline moving forward that's going to be communicating at all really needs to at least have some basic understanding of how these platforms and technologies work. And beyond just being HTML and CSS as our coding languages, we have different languages now like Python or R that help us do data analysis. We use JavaScript to help us do some interactivity on websites. We use content management systems like WordPress, so being able to operate within an environment like that and being able to select and use plugins or to work with a framework like Bootstrap. These are all new skills that have evolved over the past 5, maybe to 10 years, but they're very valuable experiences for students to have going out into the world because they want to get jobs. So here are just a few examples of some interesting jobs that I've seen lately. And this first job was a job that a former student and alumni of our program who works in HR for a company that is a full-service marketing agency had sent to me. And they need a front-end web designer, UI designer. But you can look at the kinds of things that they're requiring here. The kinds of requirements are strong communication skills, interpersonal planning, analysis, and troubleshooting, being able to understand web applications and best development practices, and really having proficiency in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and excellent visual design skills. This is a position for the Marshall Project for a projects editor. And this particular position is looking for expertise in online video and editing, but also the familiarity with things like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and the understanding of current industry best practices for data visualization and data-driven storytelling. And then this is a job description from Quartz. They're looking for something called a things editor. And I just found this very interesting, one, because the title is interesting, but they say in their description, we're looking for someone with professional editing and newsroom management experience. So that's pretty traditional, but then comma, as well as front-end web development skills. And they're looking for someone with their background in several different areas, potentially interactive graphics, computer-assisted reporting, or more traditional newsroom editing. But they want to know that you can bring a mix of creativity, management, and technical skill. Last year, I was involved with a project with AEJMC, with the Strategic Planning Implementation Committee. And I was on a group that came up with an additional directive for the organization to be able to have a more digital focus. And the exercises that we went through in creating that led me to understand that the things that I was thinking about, reading about, engaging with, the topics, the semantics, the different sorts of even phrases were very different than what a lot of my peers had more than a basic understanding of. So I started thinking about what some of the words were that signified the digital age, thinking that I'd come up with 10 or 12 and ended up with more than 60, and being able to put them in these broader categories in this sort of pyramid hierarchy of the more basic digital phrases or words like platform and product and search engine, paywall, link, content management, and then moving up the hierarchy to have words that signify visual like multimedia or interface, and things that signify social like engagement or collaboration or personal brand. And then again, mobile, things like being responsive or adaptive or different device formats or cross-platform, geolocation, all the different gestures that we use when we're working with a mobile device. Obviously, many phrases associated with data, making things interactive, using analytics, and innovation, entrepreneurship, design thinking, and empathy. And then finally, the area in the future with terms like emerging and virtual and augmented and Internet of Things. Again, these are just phrases that I felt were necessary to have in the dialect to be able to even have the conversations about what a directive for an organization like AEJMC could be, or even exercises that I've done with my own faculty in terms of how we do assessment and how we do curriculum redesign, the kinds of things we needed to be talking about and the kinds of words we needed to be using to really signify and articulate our goals very, very clearly. And it really all boils down to 4 areas. We're talking about products, different kinds of products, digital products, websites, applications, bots, interactive storytelling projects, and they're all managed by some sort of a digital platform, whether it's a content management system or a social network. There has to be a platform of some sort to get this information out to your desired users. And I wrote an article a few years ago that really had the mantra of we work in tech, and that publishing things on platforms is really where it was at. It was sort of platform or perish. And if your platform can't do it, if the platform that you're using doesn't have the capability or the functionality to do something you want to do in your organization, in your mission, then chances are it's not going to get done. If everything has to be a tweak or a Band-Aid, then it's not going to happen easily in your workflow. It's not going to be something that employees in your organization are thinking about. So the platform really is your business model. And obviously all of this is fueled by data on the back end. Data provides the basis for content management systems. It's the backbone of social networks and analytics platforms, and for much of the interactive and data visualization type storytelling we're doing. And then they all really point toward engagement. I mean, having these products, platforms, and all the data that goes with them really lets us have an engaging conversation with the audience. It provides that two-way discourse that provides opportunities and challenges that we've seen, particularly in the last couple of years, in terms of how we manage those conversations and how we think about the ethics and the morals associated with the engagement conversations that we're having on social networks and really what is the public sphere.